Alright everyone, here's a quick message to the people of Oregon, specifically in Clatsop County. It's the Astoria area and thereabouts. You're going to have a ballot initiative. You should definitely go and take a ballot and vote in this election, because you're going to have a ballot initiative that would essentially nullify all gun control in your county. These sorts of things, over time, if they're successful in enough places, can nullify state and federal law too. We've seen it with the drug war. Marijuana-related laws have basically been nullified. The federal government, for the most part, no longer goes after anyone who's not growing large numbers of plants and obviously has a large, criminally based, usually, distribution network. That happened because numerous states began decriminalizing, they began not prosecuting people, they began refusing to police laws that were on the books, they took laws on the books away. And so if you've just got the federal law, but the state doesn't care and the county doesn't care, nobody cares. The federal government doesn't really have the latitude or manpower to rove around all over the whole United States to bust potheads. The same can be true for gun control. All gun control is unconstitutional. The NFA is unlawful, import bans are unlawful, magazine restrictions are unlawful. By the way, the Ninth Circuit agrees with me on that one, oddly enough, because it used to be like the Satan of the federal court system. And any restrictions on firearms that don't relate to removing weapons from people who are clear dangers at the time, or they are serial lunatics, criminal lunatics, which the founders would differentiate from the modern conception, by the way, of mental illness being in the act of violence or the inability to act in a coherent manner. Same is true of voting. Same is true of the First Amendment. Same is true of the Fourth Amendment. You're locked up in the asylum, your right to privacy is violated. However, you can't really have one because, you might be hiding a shiv in your bed and, trying to make crap statues and stuff because you're a goddamn lunatic. Unless a person is that kind of felon, specifically I would say a violent felon at a significant level, unrepentant, lunatic according to 1700s parlance, or the person is under the age of majority, that is the age of 18, they have the inalienable right to own a firearm or firearms and all the accessories, ammo, and equipment that they want. Yes, that includes military and military-style equipment. It's explicit. The founders would have understood that to be no different from civilian arms because they were using military-grade weapons at the time. They made and owned their own cannons. They created their own shot. They manufactured their own black powder. They had muskets from Britain that at the time were way better than what the average person in the world was using if they had a firearm at all. A lot of militaries back in the 1700s still had crossbowmen. Horses weren't phased out till the end of World War I in many parts of the world. The manual cannons were common on the battlefield well into the 1800s. You got to understand that military and civilian arms weren't really different. If you want, by the way, to regulate military-style weapons, you'd have to go after, like, revolvers and shit. A standard six-shot revolver is more a weapon from the military history than an AR-15. An AR-15 is a topically similar aesthetic knockoff, essentially, of a military weapon. It doesn't have select fire. It doesn't have burst fire capabilities. Yeah, it can be machined to have them. Well, you can do that with all sorts of weapons. Why is that one the only one that ever becomes a boogeyman? It's very, very funny how people who don't understand firearms are the ones that are most vociferous in talking about them, by the way, I've noticed. I would support this completely. I think this should spread elsewhere. People need to try to get together and use petitions to nullify gun control in the United States. Also, jury nullification. If someone's brought up on charges and they're not actually related to a violent crime, fucking exonerate them. You have that right as a juror. Teach each other about jury nullification. In person only, not digitally. If you do it digitally, of course, the prosecution can show the court that clip and say, well, he can't be a juror because he's clearly biased. And also, they're not going to inform the actual defendant of their ability to request that the jury nullify it. I think in New Hampshire it's allowed and nowhere else. The free state, live free or die is literally their motto. I think it's pretty cool. New Hampshire's a great place. By the way, you should go skiing there instead of Vermont this year because Vermont ski season can be goddamn fucked up because of mask ordinances. Social distancing while you're skiing on the side of a mountain. For those of you who are goofy and you're into going out there when it's 10 degrees below zero to slide down a cold mountain. I don't know why that's fun to you. Riding the gondola up and down is fun, but the actual skiing part fucking sucks. That's about all. Peace out.